Hey guys, how's it going? Srey here and I am back today with another How Good Is video. Today it's going to be featuring Leoric. Leoric is an off-tank slash bruiser, and he is very good at dealing with lots of enemy frontline heroes. So if they have high HP pulls or they're melee, he's in general very good versus most of those heroes, and that's because he does percentage-based damage. And he also doesn't really have any ranged abilities. So ranged heroes are going to be very good versus Leoric. But in the current meta, that shouldn't really be an issue because most of the time the enemy team isn't going triple range. They're probably running 2 to 3 to 4 frontline heroes, making him very good. He is good on most or pretty much all maps, but he's especially good on rotation-based maps and also in the solo lane. He's a very strong solo lane hero. He is very strong in rotation because he has such good wave clear. He also has several unique aspects to him, but before we cover that, how good is Leoric? Well, he's pretty good, especially in competitive play because you can use him to double soak alone. He's very safe because he has his passive, which is Undying, which we'll showcase now. So when Leoric dies, he in fact doesn't just die like a normal hero, he turns into a spooky ghost. Yes, it is quite spooky. And all of his abilities don't do any damage. His Q will still slow. I'll showcase that in a moment. And his W will drain the health and making him revive a little bit quicker. You'll also notice that you can move around the battlefield and grant vision, but obviously you cannot cap any points. Keep in mind that Try mode only has a 5-second death timer. So you can see that I can use some abilities here. And then you'll revive at the location. So his other basic abilities are Skeletal Swing is 50 mana with an 8-second cooldown. Leoric swings his mace, dealing damage and slowing enemies by 40% for 2.5 seconds. It deals double damage to non-heroic units, peasants. So let's look at how much damage this actually deals. Keep in mind that at level 1 it's going to deal a little bit less damage relative to the minion's health, so it'll probably take 2 auto attacks to kill the ranged minions here, where if I Q the minion wave, it's going to take 1 auto attack to kill the ranged minions. So if you're trying to clear waves, by the way, you want to queue all the minions, all 7 minions, and then you want to auto attack the ranged minions first so that your front minions don't do any damage, take any damage, because the knights in the front actually deal almost no damage. It's almost all the damage is coming from the ranged minion and the wizard minion. His W is Drain Hope, 60 mana, 11-second cooldown. You grab an enemy hero's soul, dealing up to 25% of their maximum health as damage, and healing Leoric for up to 25% of his maximum health while he is nearby, over 4 seconds. Leoric is slowed by 20% while this is active. So this is why Leoric is so good versus melee heroes and frontline heroes. You can see that the range is quite short, and if this is broken, you can see that I throw it out here. And as long as I stay within this range, it'll be okay. But let's toggle cooldowns here. If I throw this out and I break it, it will just immediately end. Also, note that this is a little bit misleading. Although the ability describes it perfectly, it is 25% of their maximum health that it deals, but it only heals you 25% of your maximum health. So that means that if you're draining a Vala, you will still heal the same amount as if you are draining a Cho'Gall, but you will deal 25% of their maximum health. So even took me a little bit to realize that, hey, I'm healing the same amount versus whatever target I'm hitting. Also, although you are slowed while this is active, you can use Skeletal Swing to stay in range of them. Also, you generally want to use Skeletal Swing first before using Drain Hope, especially if you're solo laning or in lane or whatever, because if you miss Drain Hope, you are missing out on pretty much all of your damage as Leoric, at least the majority of it. So you want to slow your target and then throw your W out to guarantee a hit. His last basic ability is Wraith Walk. Mana is 50 and has a 14-second cooldown. Leoric separates from his body, becoming unstoppable and gaining movement speed, accelerating him up to 50% over 2.5 seconds. When Wraith Walk ends or is cancelled, his body jumps to his Wraith. So Wraith Walk just looks like this. I activate it, and I can move around for 2.5 seconds, and then my body activates. And notice, again, you are totally unstoppable in this form. You cannot be stunned or anything else. So as long as you activate Wraith Walk prior to CC, you will be pretty much immune to it. The only thing that will stop it is Void Prison or Zagara's Maw will stop it as well. Other than that, there is pretty much nothing that will stop it in the game, and it's quite powerful. Again, like things like Medivh's Leyline and zoning tools like that will stop it, but no kind of CC will stop the effect. You can also go through walls. You can see that I went through the wall and then came back there. So this is very useful. And again, you miss at 50% movement speed, so it's faster than mount speed, so you can catch enemy heroes with this as well. But you can use this for a variety of different uses. And a lot of the times you're going to be wraith walking in, Qing, and then Wing as I just Q twice there by mistake as a combo. Okay, so that's his basic abilities. Also note that his attack speed is among the slowest in the game, which makes him very susceptible to block since his attacks do quite a high amount of damage. So yeah, take that into account. At level 1, he has Mana Thirst. Skeletal Swing restores 10 mana per enemy hit. Hopelessness increased the range of Rain Hope by 25%. Block, it's just block. And Reanimation. Leoric can gather regeneration globes while undying as well as a benefit. And then once you gather 30, you gain up to 30 health regen, and then you also respawn 10 seconds faster. So Leoric is actually in a situation where he has quite a lot of viable talents. Generally, you're going to go one build, but a lot of his talents are quite situational, especially the early talents. So Mana Thirst here is Garbo, though. You would never go this talent, but the other talents are all situational. Most of the time, you're going to go Hopelessness. The 25 range increase is very helpful. Not only does it exist when you actually throw out your W, but it actually increases the tether range as well. So if I do normal W here, you can see that that's the range. And if I do Upgraded, you can see that I can stand over here, and the range is increased as well. So that's very, very helpful, especially if they have a lot of frontline heroes and you are especially relying on your W. This is going to make it a lot easier. Block is very, very good if you are solo laning on Leoric. Yes, it is important to win your solo lane sometimes, and it's very good versus heroes like Sonya or Ragnaros, heroes that have high basic attacks. You obviously would never use it versus a Tassadar or a Tracer. I say that in every video, but I just assume that people don't watch all of them. So again, block is really, really good if you are solo laning and you are versus heroes that rely on auto attack. So don't take it versus like a Chen or something, but it's really good versus a Rag, for example. I would pretty much never take block if you're in rotation though. And Reanimation is really, really good if you are double soaking and you don't need Hopelessness, so you don't need the extra range. But so they have like a Cho'Gall, for example, or maybe even just like a Stitches, or targets that may be able to get out of your drain pretty easily. You want to go Reanimation if you're on a double wave clear map. So if you're on like Infernal Shrines, or if you're on Tomb of the Spider Queen, or any kind of map where you're going to get a lot of globes, Reanimation can be very good. Note that health regen, I'm like quite sure that also affects when you're in Undying, so you'll also get extra health regen to accelerate your death timer, as well as a flat 10 seconds as well. At level 4, we have Fealty Unto Death. When a nearby minion dies, Leoric restores 1% of his maximum health and 5 mana, half is effective while undying. So this is effective while you are undying, though. So this means that if you are near minions when they die, you'll respond slightly quicker. And when a nearby minion dies, so that's a minion wave has 7 minions, which means that you're going to gain 7% of your max health and 35 mana. So that's useful. If you are, again, double soaking in between lanes, it's going to be very good. Willing Vessel increases the healing from Drain Hope to 30% of your max health and Drain Essence to 15% of your max health. Drain Essence is the undying form, so when you're dead, it's the W form of that. So Willing Vessel is pretty much trash. Hardened Bones. During Wraith Walk, gain 25 armor, taking 25% less damage. So that means that when you activate Wraith Walk, your body, when it stays there, is going to take 25% less damage. This is generally what you'll go. And then we also have Royal Focus. If Lyric's body takes no damage during Wraith Walk's duration, the cooldown is reduced to 4 seconds, and Wraith Walk also increases the damage of the next skeletal swing within 5 seconds by 50%. Okay, so in your average game, you're going to be going Hardened Bones or Fealty Unto Death. If you're double clearing with your team, Fealty Unto Death is really, really good. And if you're getting, and if you don't feel like you just don't need the health restoration, Hardened Bones can be really good, or if they have a lot of burst damage or something. Royal Focus is actually something that's new, but is taken quite often, especially in competitive play. It's really good if you're double soaking by yourself on kind of large-ish maps. So on Towers of Doom, for example, you can double soak with Leoric from top to mid without losing any soak with this talent. So let's take this talent, turn off cooldowns here. You can see that if I E and take no damage, the cooldown is reduced to only 4 seconds. And if I toggle minions on here, you'll see how much damage my Q does now. See that it pretty much clears the entire wave, and you only need one auto attack on each of the front minions, and you can immediately leave. And you're going to have your E back up for the next, where you can just rotate again. So it makes rotations a lot quicker because, again, Wraithwalk is faster than mount speed, and it allows you to clear it much, much quicker. So this is very good if you are purely soaking. If you're double soaking, again, this is better in coordinated play because you'll have that kind of situation where you'll just be double soaking on Leoric. In your average early game, you probably won't get as much value, but it could still be a good option. It does 50% more damage to everything, by the way, not just minions. Also, we have Ghastly Reach, increases the range of Skeletal Swing by 25%. So here's the average range, and here's the increased range. Notice that it's not just in one direction, it is in all directions 25% further. We have Lingering Apparition, increases the duration of Wraithwalk by 80%. Paralyzing Range increases the movement speed slow of Skeletal Swing to 60%, and Ossian Renewal. Cooldown 60 seconds, activate to heal 20% of Leoric's maximum health over 6 seconds, half as effective while undying. So you can use this while undying, but you'll only gain 10% of your max health, which is basically 10%, it's not 10% faster res speed, it's less than that. But it depends on how far you are into the game. Okay, so overall, Ossian Renewal sucks. Never take this talent. It is awful. The other talents, for example, are all situational. Most of the time, I'd recommend Paralyzing Rage because the 60% slow is very good. And if you land your Skeletal Swing on someone in front of you with Paralyzing Rage, you are pretty much guaranteed to land Drain Hope. It's also a 60% slow is very, very, very high. So it's going to be very effective there. Ghastly Reach I would take if the enemy team has a more mid-range or long-range amount of heroes. So if they have a lot of frontline, I would go Paralyzing Rage or just a majority of the time Paralyzing Rage. And if they have a little bit, maybe only like one tank or and all other heroes are more range-oriented, the Ghastly Reach will probably be better. And then Lingering Apparition is very good in other situations where I think it's just personal preference if you like Lingering Apparition. It's actually quite good. So if I show you this here,
choose a talent.
I think the volume is too loud for this video.
Choose a talent.
So again, normal duration. I'll go cooldowns here, and then longer duration. You can go very, 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 very far. And that's going to be very useful when we look at level 10 talents. So level 10 talents we have Entomb, and we have March of the Black King. So Entomb, you create an unstoppable path for 4 seconds, 50-second cooldown, 75 mana, and March of the Black King, 100 mana, 80-second cooldown. Leoric becomes unstoppable and swings his mace 3 times, healing himself for 77% of his max health for each enemy hero hit, and dealing pretty good damage. So if you hit 3 heroes with this, obviously you're going to be doing 1200 damage at level 20, or 1 hero 3 times, which is a lot of damage to a single target. And you'll also heal for 21% of your max health. So this is very, very good if you're in choke points versus a lot of melee and stuff, and you just hit their whole team. So let's look at what March of the Black King looks like first. Turn on minions here so we can see some damage. And if I use it on a hero, this counts as a hero, you'll see that you heal as well. I only hit it 1 time there though. Okay, so in general, I would never recommend going this talent because Entomb is just way too versatile.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
I don't think March of the King is bad, but I think Entomb is just objectively better, especially in competitive or higher level coordinated play. So this is Entomb. Just looks like that. And for the next, how long does it last actually? It lasts for 4 seconds. You can also activate it to cancel it early. And it counts as terrain, so you can entomb an enemy, and you can also body block them because your hitbox is going to be too large for most heroes to walk out of. So heroes cannot actually walk out of this if you're standing in front. You can use Entomb not only to catch enemies, you can use it to block areas off. So let's say the entire enemy team is coming through this choke. You can just Entomb and walk away. You can also throw Entomb out like this, or if there's an enemy hero right behind this wall, you can catch them like that, and it's basically a 4-second kind of root situation. It also has very, very good synergy with a number of different abilities. I'm sure that you can go look them up all online, but to name some abilities, it's really good with Diva's Self-Destruct because enemy heroes can't get away. It's really good with Diablo's APOC because they'll all be stacked inside. It's really good with Precision Strike, Diablo's Gaz, or not Diablo, Gazlo's, whatever his bombs are called, and pretty much anything else that needs a delay before it goes off in a certain area. It's really, really strong. Also, it's worth noting that it's pretty good with Ariel Whip. So if you entomb a target, Ariel can whip them because this all does count as terrain. And I'm sure you can find out a bunch of other synergies. But in general, it's good for isolating targets and for enemy teams that have low mobility. So it's not going to be good versus Li Ming. Don't do it on Li Ming, but it's going to be very good against like a Gul'dan, for example. It's also really good against just heroes, like even if you're trying to kill a tank. Like if you have an entombment tank in here, you're going to be doing percentage damage versus them, and your team can follow up, and you can kill tanks very easily, as long as it's not like a Murden who's just going to jump out. But if it's against like an ETC who doesn't have slide over wall, or if against an Arthas or something, it's going to be very, very effective. Okay, at level 13, we have Burning Rage. Deals 50 damage to nearby enemies. We have Crushing Hope. If Drain Hope lasts its full duration, which is 4 seconds, it deals bonus damage equal to 10% of the victim's max health. This bonus damage does not heal Leoric, so that means it's going to deal a total of 35% of a target's max health. During Momentum, Drain Hope now increases Leoric's movement speed by 10% instead of reducing it. And Spell Shield, so we all know what Spell Shield is, I'm sure, but every 30 seconds you can activate Spell Shield to reduce spell damage by 50% for 3 seconds. Okay, so Burning Rage. Okay, so most of the time if you're going Leoric, you're going to go a kind of W-oriented build, so you're going to go Drain Hope oriented. So most of the time you'll have the Hopelessness at level 1, and then you'll be going Crushing Hope at 13, and you get another Hope talent at 16. So Crushing Hope is, again, very good versus percentage heroes, or heroes with high health bars, but again, it's going to be good versus anything. So
Choose a talent.
we cast this, and I have it on for 4 seconds. You'll see that it crunches at the end for an additional amount of damage. And that crunch is, yes, it is definitely noticeable. 10% max health is really good. However, I'm very surprised I never see Drain Momentum being taken. I've never seen this talent being taken in a game before, but I actually think it's quite good. Sometimes I do like to go it, especially if you have another Drain talent at 16, which reduces the cooldown. And if you look at the movement speed difference, very slow walking around, and you compare it to...
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
Okay, and you compare it to Drain Momentum here.
Choose a talent.
You move a lot quicker. Like the difference is very, very, very noticeable, and that can allow you to catch up to enemies, get within range of Entomb, Skeletal Swing, especially if the enemy team has heroes that can kind of get out of your Drain Hope a lot of the time. If they're very quick, like a Lunara, you can stay very, very close to them. And yes, you can definitely cast Drain Hope on low health targets as well. It still deals 25% of their max health, so it's still going to be very good. So at level 20 or level 16, so again at level 13, I would always recommend, pretty much always recommend going Crushing Hope. You could try Drain Momentum if you're up for it. I wouldn't really recommend Spell Shield, but it is good if they have a lot of burst damage. And Burning Rage if you absolutely are required to have the wave clear because your team has no wave clear at all. But I think that you're going to be much better off late game if you go Crushing Hope. Oh, 16, we have Renewed Swing. Skeletal Swing can be recast again for free within 3 seconds, dealing 50% damage. It still slows for the normal amount, though. Consume Vitality. Skeletal Swing heals Leoric for 2% of his max health per target hit, up to 10%. Half as effective while undying. Unyielding Despair. Every second Drain Hope is active, its cooldown is reduced by 4 seconds. That means that you can reduce the cooldown from 11 seconds to 7 seconds, and remember that Drain Hope also lasts for 4 seconds, so you only have 3 seconds of actual downtime, I believe. And you have Imposing Presence, which is 20-second cooldown. You can activate it to slow attack speed by 50%, movement speed by 20% for 2.5 seconds against heroes and summons. And it's a passive effect, naturally slows attack speed by 20% for 2.5 seconds. Okay, so again, I'm going to always recommend here Unyielding Despair, especially if you went a Drain talent, which you should at 13, and if you have Drain Hopelessness at level 1, which is most likely. So the Unyielding Despair, if I disable toggle cooldowns here and I activate this, you can see that after this is done, the uptime will be quite long, or the cooldown will already be almost available, and you can immediately drain again. So that is very, very, very strong. The only other talent that I would even remotely consider here would be Imposing Presence. If the enemy team really doesn't have any frontline targets, you probably want to go Renewed Swing or Imposing Presence. If they have a lot of mages, you'll go Renewed Swing. If they have a lot of auto attacks, you want to go Imposing Presence. But I really think that if you're not picking Leoric and you wouldn't benefit from this talent, then Leoric probably isn't a good pick for your team. Okay, level 20, we have Buried Alive, and enemies inside Entomb take damage per second. Notice how much damage it deals versus Burning Rage, so it deals significantly more damage. Death March, the final swing of Black March, March of the Black King, also applies untalented Drain Hope to all enemy heroes in a large area. Spectral Leech, basic attacks against enemy heroes deal bonus damage equal to 5% of the hero's maximum health and heal Leoric for the same amount. And Hardened Shield, activate to gain 75 armor for 4 seconds, taking 75% less damage, 60-second cooldown. Okay, so Buried Alive is trash. Let's not even give it credit. Death March is decent sometimes, but you'd never go. Like, I would never recommend that you actually go March of the Black King, even though it's not bad. I just think Entomb is so much better. So I guess relatively you could say it's bad. Since we're not going Death March, I would never, or since we're not going March of the Black King, I wouldn't recommend Death March. And then, so we're left with Spectral Leech and Hardened Shield. Wow, that was really hard to say. Spectral Leech is very, very strong. It is among the best talents in the game. Keep in mind that Leoric does have a very slow attack speed, but Spectral King is just so strong. And if they have if they have the team where they have like 3 frontline tanks, they don't have that much range damage, and they don't have a lot of threat for you, you will just win the game by yourself once you hit level 20 on Leoric. And even if it's not in those situations, it's still extremely powerful. The only time I would recommend going Hardened Shield is if they have a lot of damage, they don't have a lot of frontline, and you're pretty much getting bursted every fight before you can even do anything. That's going to be the minority of cases, and again, Leoric, you just shouldn't pick Leoric there. But if you are in those situations, you just need to survive, otherwise you won't do anything, you'll just instantly die in team fights. But Spectral Leech should be taken the vast majority of the time, and is a huge power spike with Leoric. It is extremely strong. I cannot overstate how good it is. Let's actually, do I have most of the right talents? I have most of the right talents. Let's spawn this guy in here. I have Drain Momentum, so I don't actually have the percentage. Actually, I can probably reset before Arthas gets here. Just want to show you guys really, really quick how effective this guy can be.
Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent. Choose a talent.
I just turned on my allied Arthas. Okay, that was a mistake. Let's turn that off. Okay, so we should have an Arthas coming over to us very, very quickly. You can see that he gets chunked very, very easily. And you can kill, even if that Arthas was attacking me, he would do pretty much nothing. I'd still be at max health. So you can see that he counters some heroes extremely hard, especially low mobility frontline heroes. He's really, really good against like the Stitches as well. Okay guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and until next time, I will talk to you then.